Welcome back to Sports Megaprojects. Today we're heading to Madrid, where the most decorated club in football history just spent 5 years and well over €1 billion turning its century-old home into something that looks more like a spaceship than a football ground. This is the story of how the Bernabéu refused to stay still and why the renovation almost broke the bank to get there. Let's get started. The Bernabéu's story doesn't begin with reinvention. It begins with permanence. Real Madrid have played on this site since 1947, when the stadium opened under the name Estadio Real Madrid Club de Futbol, hosting a debut match against Portuguese champions Os Belenenses. In 1955, the ground was renamed in honor of the club's transformative president, Santiago Bernabéu, the man whose vision had built it in the first place. For decades, the stadium grew in fits and starts. A 1,955 expansion pushed capacity to a staggering 125,000. The 1970s brought the first electronic scoreboard. The 1990s brought UEFA-mandated safety upgrades and an all-seater conversion that settled capacity at a more modest 81,000. By the early 2000s, the Bernabéu was a global icon, a 4-time Champions League final host, and the site of the 1982 World Cup final, but it was also, unmistakably, an old building competing in a new era of stadium design. President Florentino Perez had spent years eyeing what rivals were doing. Stadiums like Tottenham's new ground weren't just football venues anymore, they were entertainment complexes generating revenue every day of the year, not just on match days. In September 2018, Perez brought a complete transformation plan to Real Madrid's General Assembly. It passed. Within months, the club had lined up a €575 million credit facility from Bank of America Merrill Lynch and JP Morgan, repayable over 35 years. The renovation was officially underway. Construction began in June 2019, the moment the season ended, with an ambitious target: finish by late 2022. Nothing about the next 4 years would go that smoothly. The first phase tackled the unglamorous but essential work: dismantling the old roof, sinking deep piled foundations for new towers, and rebuilding the lower 2 tiers from scratch. Then COVID-19 shut down supply chains just as the project was hitting its stride, forcing Real Madrid's first team to play home matches at the Estadio Alfredo Di Stefano in Valdebebas. Then Russia's invasion of Ukraine sent steel and material costs spiraling. The original deadline came and went. So did a revised target of December 2023, and so did the early public estimate of roughly €500 million, several times over. What made this renovation so much harder than a typical stadium build was the brief itself. This wasn't a stadium being demolished and rebuilt. It was a fully operational, 75-year-old ground being reconstructed around its own beating heart, match by match, season by season, while Real Madrid kept playing there. The headline feature is the roof, a retractable structure built from 12 mobile trusses fitted with PTFE membrane cushions, capable of sealing the entire bowl in under 20 minutes. Supporting it required more than 33,000 tons of steel, roughly the weight of over 100 wide-body aircraft, threaded through the existing structure without ever fully closing the stadium's doors. Beneath that roof sits the project's most audacious piece of engineering: a retractable pitch. The natural turf splits into segments and lowers into a subterranean storage chamber roughly 30 meters deep, complete with its own irrigation and lighting to keep the grass alive, while the bowl above is reconfigured for concerts, conventions, or other sports entirely. It turns the Bernabéu from a football stadium that occasionally hosts other events into a year-round entertainment venue that occasionally hosts football. The exterior tells the same story. A new steel façade wraps the building in curved, mirror-finished blades, fitted with an integrated LED lighting system, turning the whole stadium into a single illuminated canvas at night. Inside, a 360-degree video scoreboard rings the upper tier. More than 4,000 seats were added, and the club built out an entirely new layer of hospitality: restaurants, lounges, a rooftop skywalk, and an underground food market threaded beneath the stands. The financial story is where things get genuinely staggering. The early €500 million estimate ballooned steadily as scope and delays compounded each other. By the time the bulk of construction wrapped in December 2023, Real Madrid's own accounts put the figure at €1.29 billion before interest. By mid-2025, with finishing touches still underway, the club's reported total spend had climbed past €1.3 billion, with some all-in estimates running as high as €1.76 billion. Loan repayments are scheduled to run through roughly 2049 to 2053. It stands as one of the most expensive stadium transformations in football history. The milestones tell their own story of a club determined to keep the lights on no matter what. A reduced-capacity Bernabéu hosted matches throughout 2021 and 2022 as cranes worked overhead. By December 2023, the bulk of the structural work was complete, and the club held a low-key reopening, with several premium areas still being fitted out. In May 2024, the Bernabéu welcomed its first major non-football event in over a decade, a two-night run of Taylor Swift's Eras Tour. An unmistakable statement about what this stadium was now built to do. Finishing touches, including acoustic work for concerts, continued into the 2025-26 season. There's a final twist that has nothing to do with steel or turf. Over 2024 and 2025, fans noticed the name Santiago quietly disappearing, first from the club's website, then from social media, then from merchandise in the stadium shop. In November 2025, Real Madrid made it official. The stadium would now be known simply as Bernabéu. The club frames the change as a tribute that endures rather than one that's erased, but the commercial logic is hard to miss. A shorter name leaves room for a future naming rights sponsor. By early 2026, one industry analysis valued the Bernabéu's naming rights at over €21 million a year, the single most valuable sponsorship asset of its kind in Europe. The payoff is already showing up on the balance sheet. In the renovation's first full season, the stadium generated almost as much non-matchday revenue in 6 months as it had in an entire previous year. Concerts, NFL games, conventions, and corporate events now run through the building constantly, turning a venue that once sat dark for 350 days a year into a genuine commercial engine. The bigger picture is one of a club refusing to let its history calcify into nostalgia. The Bernabéu opened in 1947 as one of the largest stadiums on the planet, hosted a World Cup final in 1982, and has been rebuilt, reshaped, and renamed more times than almost any ground in football. In turning itself into a fully retractable, year-round entertainment complex wrapped in steel and light, it has once again done what it has always done, stayed exactly where it is, while completely reinventing what a stadium can be. And that's the full story of how Real Madrid's century-old home survived a pandemic, a war, a ballooning budget, and its own name, to emerge as one of the most advanced stadiums on Earth. What do you think about the new Bernabéu and whether the price tag was worth it? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss anything. Thanks for watching. See you next week.